And last year, 12 members of the Junior Putters of America showed their stuff in the National Championship. After falling behind Team Lynchburg by 6 strokes at the turn, Team Ypsilanti mounted an amazing comeback to force a playoff and win. Today, the kids of Ypsilanti are back defending their JPA title and looking for the repeat, but they'll have to overcome a strong team from Richmond, Virginia to do it. Next on the Putt-Putt Championship. Hello and welcome to Orlando, Florida and the beautiful Orange Lake Resort and Country Club, home of this year's Junior Putters of America National Television Championship. I'm Dave Erickson alongside Scott Anderson, the National Franchise Director for Putt-Putt. And Scott, for millions of kids worldwide, Putt-Putt represents a night out of fun and entertainment. But for 12 here today, it represents a whole lot more.
Yeah, it sure does, Dave. You know, today, these kids have been competing all around the country at our over 200 locations. And they're coming from regional tournaments to compete today. It's kind of like their Little League World Series.
Well, you know, the format they'll be playing today, though, is a lot different than we might see at the Putt-Putt on a Friday night.
Yeah, it sure is. It's a modified Nassau format. We're going to be scoring 1 point on the front side, 1 point on the back side, and 1 point for the overall champion.
Well, there's more than just a championship at stake here. There's over $3,000 in college scholarship money, which they're all chomping at the bit to get at. So let's go now and meet our competitors.
All right, Dave, here are the 2 teams that will compete in today's national finals. Wearing the blue shirts is the team returning from Ypsilanti, Michigan, back to defend their title. In their second national appearance, in the green shirts, is the team from Richmond, Virginia. Once again, here are the rules. This match is a modified Nassau scoring system. The front and back nines are each worth a point, as is the overall competition. Now let's get to the action.
And first on the tee box, the team from Richmond, Steve Jones. Not something you see often here, Scott, a southpaw.
Yeah, and a good one at that. He's got a scoring average of 22, and he's really a good little putter.
But a little bit short that time.
Yeah, sure did.
A little bit short, but that's okay. We've got a long way to go.
That's the first
this
hole.
Afternoon.
Yeah, little case of the yips. Yeah, and here comes David Sharp. He's going to clean up that putt and tap it in.
And Ypsilanti up onto the tee box next. James Mangan. Scotty, this fella's hero, Sergio Garcia. Let's see how he performs, if he performs like his hero here today.
I tell you, he is a kid that is real dogged. He comes out and practices a lot. I was talking to his coach, and he's a real concentrated putter. Go. Looks like a nice stroke.
Go, 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 run.
Yeah! And Mangan with the ace for Team Ypsilanti. That puts them up by a stroke over Richmond. And here on 2, a lot of girls and boys both playing putt-putt golf in the junior putting championships today. This is Kyle Farley.
Yeah, Kyle's hit the putt just right, about halfway down on the right rail. Just not quite enough speed.
Which leaves us to Patrick McFalls, who's going to come up here, try to make the tap in, cleans it right on up. And you know, Scott, it does take a little bit of time for these junior golfers to sort of get their rhythm.
Yeah, I think everybody, you know, there's a little pressure on this. These folks are on TV. Even though a couple of these kids were on last year's show, I think there's still a little case of the nerves this morning.
And we'll see if Paul Lowry is able to get over those nerves off the right railing.
Over. Ooh, no, and it's going to rock back, too. That's going to leave a tough putt.
Well, that leaves a putt for Philip Wagner. This is about 6 feet. He's got to deal with that slope.
Yeah, you've got to line this putt up just right. And it's tough to read that hill from that angle. It's not one that they hit all the time, and he left it wide.
He leaves it about the same distance away as the shot was left for him, only this time it's on the other side of the green.
Yeah, this is Mandy Taylor now. Mandy's going to come up and see what she can do with this putt.
About 6 feet.
Nice, smooth stroke.
And
really kept her shoulder square, yeah.
For Team Richmond. So after 2, the leaderboard Ypsilanti by 2. We'll be right back to Orange Lake for more.
Did you ever wonder what happens at putt-putt golf and games when the lights go out?
Well, I'm a nut about putt-putt. Don't even try to get in my way. Yeah, I'm a nut about putt-putt. It's all about working, play. And ask me, tell me what. Are you gonna be doing today? Well, I'm heading to the place where it's all about fun. I'm a nut about putt-putt. Did it!
It takes two to make a thing go right. talk, to listen, or just to let loose? That's the power of two. Introducing Sprint 1000. 1,000 minutes of long distance for just $20 a month. That's as low as 2 cents a minute. Every night or all weekend long. The choice is yours. That's the power of two. Anything more would be too much. Switch to Sprint 1000 at 1-800-PIN-DROP.
Just getting by isn't enough. I want to succeed. That means doing more, being smarter, performing at my best. It's a demanding life, and it uses up nutrients. New Centrum Performance helps replace them.
It starts as a complete Centrum Multi. Then we add energy essential nutrients, including increased levels of key B vitamins, antioxidants, plus ginseng and ginkgo.
It helps energize my mind and body. Life's demanding, but I thrive on it.
Centrum Performance. Life demands it.
Hey, we made it! Is this place heaven or what?
Introducing Wild Vine's new Raspberry Zinfandel.
Friday.
It's not just Zinfandel. It's Raspberry Zinfandel.
It's great.
Whoa.
New Wild Vines. It goes perfect with letting go.
No.
Leaving the world behind.
I don't think so.
Come on, unplug for a while.
You have nailed.
Wild Vines. It's wine like you've never tasted.
And welcome back. While we were away, Ypsilanti continuing their dominant charge out of the gate. Mary Walkley here with the ace on 4.
Yeah, Dave, Mary is a great little putter. You know, she's been at this since 1993.
And James Mangan establishing himself here today with the ace on 5. That's his second of the match. Ypsilanti establishing themselves as the defending champions with a big lead over Team Richmond by 4 shots. To number 6, Kyle Farley.
You know, Dave, we talked about the rhythm a little bit before. This is a little different format in that these kids are alternating shots, which they don't normally do, so it's a little tougher to get in that rhythm.
But not tough for Kyle. Ooh, with the ace, banking it off the back rail there, going into the back door.
That's one way to do it. It makes you get a little nervous when that ball is rocking back to the hole.
Well, we've talked to these kids all weekend. They are nervous, but having a good time. We'll see how good of a time Amy Summy here has as she tries to pull Team Richmond just a little bit closer to Team Ypsilanti. And a lot of kids been playing this whole off the banking here this week, Scott.
Yeah, they sure have. Amy's 13 years old, and she's fairly new at the game. And, oh, just a little bit off. That leaves a tough shot coming back.
And again, we have a lot of golf to still play here. Stephen Jones is going to come up and see if he can't make the par for Richmond. It's about a 2-footer.
Nice rhythm.
And he does it, which just takes us to the leaderboard through 6. Ypsilanti is still leading by 5 shots, but a lot of golf still left to play as we head now towards 7. And Patrick McFalls, he is hoping to carry on for Ypsilanti, which has had 3 straight aces. Perhaps Patrick can try to make it 4.
And in the heart. You see, it really pays to have your dad as the coach.
And that is 4 straight aces for Team Ypsilanti. Coach probably pretty happy right about now. Team Richmond, though, and again, as we've said, there is a lot of golf left to play. You never know what can happen here.
Now, but I think they're feeling the pressure, Dave, on this side a little bit. David Sharp coming up here, and I think David's really feeling the heat. He looked a little nervous on the side.
Well, you know, these kids, a lot of them, obviously never having been on television cameras everywhere, so a little bit of pressure probably takes some time for them to relax.
Oh, he let that ball bounce a little bit. Didn't come off the blade clean.
Which leads us to Paul Lowry, 12 years old in the 7th grade, already making a national television appearance, looking for about a 3-foot putt for par. And not an easy one here, huh, Scott?
No, but he's doing the right things, you know. He's trying to calm down a little bit, take a couple of practice strokes, get ready to hit, and nice shot.
He does it. Now, the leaderboard through 7, Ypsilanti up by 6. Anything can happen, and we'll see what does coming up next.
Are you looking for Pontiac excitement?
Need a tough professional-grade GMC to haul the boat?
At Capital, we've got honest deals on lots of wide-track Pontiacs that put Pontiac excitement in your drive.
And we got honest deals on all kinds of trucks, professional-grade GMC trucks for work or play.
Along with great rebates.
Or low interest rates.
An honest deal with no hidden charges.
And you'll probably pay less.
Come see us, Laburnum near the airport.
Or Southside, Route 60 Powhatan.
Capital Pontiac GMC.
With service on your schedule, not ours, because we care.
Entertainment is in demand and at your command. First, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman burn up the screen at Stanley Kubrick's final masterpiece, Eyes Wide Shut. Then meet a little boy who sees dead people. The Sixth Sense will shock your senses, nominated for 6 Academy Awards. And Molly Shannon is Mary Catherine Gallagher's superstar. George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, and Ice Cube are Gulf War vets who discover a secret stash of gold in Three Kings. Make your home your castle with In Demand and Media One.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in baseball. Rogers Hornsby was my manager, and he called me a talking pile of pig slop. And that was when my parents drove all the way from Michigan to see me play the game. Did I cry? No. And you know why? No. Because there's no crying in baseball.
Baseball Tonight, every night at 10 and midnight on ESPN.
And welcome back to the Orange Lake Resort and Country Club for more of the JPA Putt Championship. Here on 8, to get you caught up, first of all, Ypsilanti leading Team Richmond by 6 strokes, but this hole was of particular trouble for Ypsilanti last year, Scott. They took the maximum of 5 shots.
Yeah, and I was listening to the players in practice, and I think there was a little nervousness about this hole.
And we forget, again, as we've already talked about, these are kids under a lot of pressure right now, and probably a lot of it they don't necessarily need to have.
You may notice here, Dave, that was one of our pros that was coming out there to measure the distance from the rail. There's a prescribed distance that if the ball lands up against the rail, the ball needs to be moved out from the rail. It allows for the putter to move back and give the player an opportunity to hit the ball. And that was what that action was going on there. But now we're looking at the shadows, too, that this has got to come through. And because of those shadows, you don't see the angle and the hill slope too well here.
This is about 6 feet. Tommy Stimson not quite, just missing, which sets up a putt that's not all that easy to make for Mary Walkley.
No, Mary did a real good job last year. She really has a good feel for the game. But this is a tough putt. It's not one that they hit normally. They try and keep the ball below the hole so they have a better angle, and I don't think she wants to be here right now.
Well, Coach McFall stepping in, trying to give her a little bit of advice, some wisdom. His son Patrick doing very well today, so trying to impart some of that here on Mary. Let's see if she can make this fairly significant putt here. It's quite a long one.
Yeah, it is, and she's at an odd angle because of the rail. She can't really get her shoulders over the ball and turn it square, and that's it's a tough miss. This could be a bad hole for Ypsilanti again.
It was a disastrous hole last year. It looks as though it's repeating, not what they wanted to do. And, Scott, you know, one thing you have to consider, it seems like that isn't an awful difficult angle to slope everything else. It's got to be tough where the placement of the hole.
Yeah, this is one of those holes where there really isn't a good place to lay up. You either get it in the hole or you got some tough second shots. And here's the 5th one for Kyle. And she missed it, too, so that's a maximum of 5 shots for the team Ypsilanti. Could be a big swing.
It could be. It could be a big swing, as we saw last year. So Team Richmond, let's see what they can do. This is Philip Wagner.
Phil's put the ball in the first tee spot on the tee, and he should bank this slightly off the rail, or he may leave it out, but usually they're banking it off the rail.
And that's exactly what he does, off the left rail. And Wagner, he seems to have mastered the angle. It doesn't matter where the hole was for this kid. He aces it. So through 8, Ypsilanti is leading by only 2 shots now. Perhaps we'll see a change of events as we saw last year. So that carries us to 9. This is Mandy Taylor for Team Richmond.
Mandy's 13, and she's got a case of steady nerves, but ooh, left that one a little short. Didn't look too happy about that one.
Not quite, and as we've seen all too often this week, it barely makes it up the slope, but if it doesn't quite make it, it rolls back, and leaving the person to clean it up with a pretty substantial distance they've got to try to cover. Now here's Amy Summy trying to make up that distance, about 5 feet, and right in. She cleans that up nicely. Look at the confidence of this young girl. Incredible. They seem to be overcoming some of the nerves that they displayed early on.
I think they are, and she knows that was a big putt for her team. If she'd have missed that putt, they had the chance to lose several strokes again, and they didn't need to do that.
Well, for Team Ypsilanti, this brings us to Patrick McFalls, who's trying to help them regain some composure. And he does it with the ace. So at the turn, Ypsilanti wins the first point in the Nassar format. They hold the overall lead over Team Richmond. And a competitive front nine of golf. Team Ypsilanti, defending champion from last year. Superb job. 4 straight aces, but it sort of came unglued a little bit on ace.
It sure did. You know, the 8th hole got them last year, too. They had a 5 last year, and it really hurt them, and they had a 5 this year, and they gave back a lot of strokes.
But they had some redemption on 9 with an ace, so they lead by 3 here at the turn, but never count out Team Richmond.
Now, it's anybody's game. There's another point available on the back 9. It's only 3 strokes to make up. Very doable for anybody. As we saw last year, this can all turn around on the back.
Okay, well, let's go to the 10th tee.
And remember, Dave, we're going to be playing for scholarship money today. The first place team gets $2,000 and the second place team $1,000.
And that takes us to 10. Again, some confidence and momentum right now for Team Richmond, but here on the tee it's Steve Mirendorf for Team Ypsilanti. Not quite there.
No, he moved a little bit on that. Didn't look like he really squared up to the ball.
And Tommy Stimson trying to tap it in. Does make the par for Team Ypsilanti. And watching Team Richmond here, Scott, they're a little bit more composed, calming down just a little bit. This is Stephen Jones. He's been playing at the junior putting level now for a couple of years.
He sure has. You know, he's one of the 10,000 kids that we have out there competing every week in tournament series across the United States.
But not all of them on national television. And Stephen Jones on national television with the ace. Richmond roaring back for a 1-shot lead on the back 9, but Ypsilanti leads in the overall.
Hi, I'm Tammy. What do you look like?
I'll take it.
Me too.
They're young. And some just think that way. The people and companies that were born digital. Or reborn. As comfortable with data as the last generation was with the telephone. As long as they have the right set of tools. And the right company behind them. WorldCom, Generation D.
Saturday, May 27th, it's ESPN Classics warm-up for this year's Indy 500. A gas-guzzling, gear-grinding, flat-out, pedal-to-the-metal marathon of Indy Classics. Fight to 500. 22 hours of Brickyard Beauties, the Unsers, Junior and Senior. Legendary A.J. Foyt, Gordon Johncock. Fight to 500, tomorrow at 9 a.m., only on ESPN Classic. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC today.
And we're headed down the stretch in this JPA National Championship. Both teams are even on the back 9, with Ypsilanti leading by 3 in the overall. We pick up the action here at 15 with Kyle Farley of Team Ypsilanti. And she falls well short.
Yeah, you know, that ball didn't quite make it all the way up the rise, and now it's rolling all the way back and off. The rule book calls for that ball to be replaced on the tee mat, the next player to go ahead and hit the shot. There's no penalty stroke for that.
And this is Patrick McFalls. His dad, the coach of Team Ypsilanti, gave him some tips, and these kids have had trouble on this hole all week long, as it has proven to be quite difficult.
It is a difficult hole. Again, it's a speed putt. You're coming up the hill and into the shadows.
So he goes with the bank shot.
And just wide. This could be a tough hole because now they're behind the pipe. He's got that pipe obstacle to deal with, and so this could be a difficult placement.
And this is Steve Mirendorf. It's a difficult shot, as you said, Scott. It's behind the peg, along with that angle.
See, he tried to come off 2 rails and back at the hole, and he had to hit it a little harder than that. If you're going to come off 2 rails, you've really got to hit the ball coming up the hill.
That sets up a nice, in theory anyway, easy shot for Tommy Stimson. See if he can bring this home for his team.
Yeah, when you're putting for that 4 on the team, it puts a little added pressure, but nice job.
It is a nice job by Tommy Stimson. And Team Richmond, though, again, they've been showing some real poise here as of late. This is Mandy Taylor. See how she can master this very
Mandy's
difficult.
up the hill, but a little too strong, and again, she's going to put him right back behind that pipe. That's a tough shot to do from there.
Disappointment for Mandy. I know each one of these kids hopes to make an ace on every hole. Not necessarily a realistic aspiration, though, when you have obstacles like this.
Now, sometimes Amy now is getting up to the ball, and it's good to just lag this and try and get it up close to the hole. Let's see what she does.
Not quite hard enough, though, Scott. You mentioned about having to hit that ball very hard to be able to double bank it that way. Wasn't able to do it. Setting up a similar shot that we saw with Team Ypsilanti. This is Stephen Jones hoping to make the bogey putt here. And he does it.
In the corner.
So through 15, Ypsilanti is still leading by 2 shots in the overall, but Richmond is making a move, +1 on the back, while Ypsilanti 2 over. Every shot now is extremely important here on 16. This is David Sharp for Team Richmond.
Nice angle on that. His shoulders were just real square to the hole, and
it is an ace. Richmond has been incredible as they roared down the stretch here on the back 9. David Sharp again with the ace. So a little bit of pressure now on Ypsilanti. If you recall last year, it was the other way around as Ypsilanti came from behind on this back 9, and it looks as though Richmond's doing that here.
They've been getting a little encouragement, Dave. If you look in the gallery, we have a lot of our national touring pros that are on here watching these kids. They've coached them this week. They've tried to give them some pointers on how to hit some of the shots.
And Mary Walkley has been a fine student of those pros this week, but just not quite there here on 16. Now, this is quite interesting because this leads to James Mangan, and if he misses this putt, the teams are tied.
It's hard to tell in the shadows, but that ball is sitting up on a little plateau, and it's a tough angle to read that break coming up the hill. And he read it the wrong way. That ball is not going to break back to the hole the way he hit it.
Which leads us back to a scenario we saw a little bit earlier. They've got to come out with that measurement from the rail.
Yeah, that's the prescribed distance. It's marked on all of our scorecards, so you know exactly the distance that needs to come from the rail.
This is Kyle Farley with a somewhat difficult shot as she is close into that rail. And again, if you miss this, you always risk rolling back down the slope.
Oh, and on the other side, which she thought it was going to hang up there. She really did.
Again, Team Ypsilanti here having the same sort of a situation that Richmond did last year. Now, there's been a history between these two teams. They seem to face each other every so often in these finals.
Well,
this is Patrick McFalls.
They're well coached, and they practice diligently, and they've got some course owners that have really been supportive of the system, and, oh, that's a shame.
And that slope has been nothing but trouble for Ypsilanti. Steve Mirendorf now is hoping to try to restore some of the confidence that they had once had earlier on in the tournament.
And he knocked it in. I thought that rail, hitting the rail was going to throw him off.
That is a team 5, but the leaderboard through 16, what a big swing. Ypsilanti is 5 over on the backside. Richmond is even, so Richmond has surged ahead in the overall, leading by 2 strokes. This is Paul Lowry of Team Richmond.
Yeah, he caught that rail. What you want to try and do here is just miss the corner of that rail, and the ball will break into the hole. Not too happy with that stroke.
No, Philip Wagner trying to clean this up. Not too bad. He's got about a 4-footer there. And Wagner, again, they're playing with a lot of poise right now, this Team Richmond. A lot of confidence coming back into their stride. And Wagner makes the par putt. A lot of pressure now on Ypsilanti there, Scott, as Tommy Stimpson tries to help them to regain some of the momentum that they had early on in this tournament.
Doesn't look like he's hit that ball. Left it way short.
Very short. Now, the overall score, it's incredible how Team Richmond is coming back the same way Ypsilanti did last year. This is Mary Walkley making the short par putt there.
Yeah, I think right now we're really looking at the overall score to see who's going to win this thing.
Richmond with the advantage, leading on the back 9 by 5 and up by 2 here in the overall as we go now to the final hole, 18. Team Richmond first to the tee. This is Mandy Taylor. And you've got that slope, falls just over the edge of it.
Yeah, it's the first time we're really getting a good clean shot at that kind of a plateau hole. Shadows today have been very difficult for the kids, but bright sunshine on this one, they ought to be able to see the angle.
A little bit of a chink in the armor here for Team Richmond as they have been hot, but a little bit of a difficulty on this hole as we've seen a little bit all week long, the angle being a problem for them.
Well, at least she left it up on the plateau, so this shouldn't be too bad a third shot for Steve Jones coming up here.
Okay, this is for bogey. Steve has showed an incredible amount of just sort of confidence with all these pros looking on, and he does it there. Does make the bogey putt for Team Richmond. So no pressure here on Team Ypsilanti, is there? James Mangan now. He needs an ace here. No pressure at all, Scott. He's got to be able to put it in the hole on one to get his team into a tie for the overall score.
Yeah, I think those orange obstacles are looking a little bit bigger. Not a bad shot, but just a little strong.
Just a little strong. Lipped it out there. And Team Richmond, they've won this one. Some hugs there for Team Ypsilanti, some consolation hugs. Tough afternoon, tough back nine for Ypsilanti.
It sure is, you know, and if you are watching this at home and you want to come out and try some of these shots, go to your local putt-putt. The holes are the same every place that we are around the United States, and just try some of these shots from these angles. This is a tough little putt she's got coming up, and you know, they're pretty deflated right now.
Yeah, but for an 11-year-old, these kids, Kyle Farley, she's 11 years old. It's a tough afternoon, but she had an opportunity to come out, have some fun with her friends, and there's always next year. When you're 11, there is always a next year.
Yeah, there sure is. But I think you'll see Patrick here really wanting to make this and finish it up. This is, again, that tough shot up to the plateau.
Nice putt. And he does have the bogey, but Team Richmond, an incredible comeback on the back nine. They do win the 2 points for the back nine and the overall by beating Team Ypsilanti. We'll be right back for the awards presentation in a moment.
Did you ever wonder what happens at putt-putt golf and games when the lights go out?
Well, I'm a nut about putt-putt. Don't even try to get in my way. Yeah, I'm a nut about putt-putt. Some about working, let's play. And ask me, tell me what. Are you gonna be through today? Yeah. Well, I'm heading to the place where it's all about fun. I'm a nut about putt-putt.
The forces of nature are waging a war, and the target is your deck. But Thompson's will stop them, because when others fail, Thompson succeeds, protecting your deck like no other, guaranteed. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
McGruff here. Your mission, get my new free comic activity book on how to avoid bullies, guns, and drugs. Write McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. Play it smart and help take a bite out of crime.
It's about velocity, aerodynamics, gravity, kinetic energy, friction. It's about sports. It's ESPN Sports Figures. You can score points at school by learning math and physics through the dynamics of sports. ESPN Sports Figures. Put your brain in the game.
Today at Orange Lake Resort and Country Club, we've witnessed another exciting Junior Putters of America match. Team Ypsilanti got out to a big lead on the strength of 4 straight aces on the front nine. But Team Richmond hung tough down the stretch to win in the end. Now let's go down to Dave with our contestants.
We have arrived at the moment that all of these competitors have worked so hard for, as perhaps their favorite moment, the presentation of the money. And to begin that, please welcome the president of Putt-Putt of America, Mr. Bobby Owens.
Thank you, Dave. We saw a great Junior Putters of America match today. Somebody had to finish second, and unfortunately it was Ypsilanti, Michigan. But I've got some that'll make it feel a little bit better. To Mary Walkie, I'd like to present a check in the amount of $1,000 on behalf of all the Putt-Putt franchisees from coast to coast. Congratulations for a job well done. Outstanding.
And now with the presentation of the championship check, Mr. John Kelly, the general manager of Orange Lake Resort and Country Club.
Team Richmond, David, on behalf of Orange Lake Resort and Country Club, we're happy to present you with this check for $2,000. Congratulations, team.
And while there may be just one championship check, all of these competitors are winners here today. And that's it from here at Orange Lake. On behalf of my colleague, Scott Anderson, and all of our competitors, thank you so much for watching. I'm Dave Erickson with a reminder, maybe with a little practice at your local putt-putt, maybe one day you too can be standing here holding the big money. So long from Orlando.